I actually consider myself as getting fired 3 times in my career. The third time was when I fired myself, being like, you're a shitty manager. I hated dealing with the general public. It was so anxiety inducing for me to have to be on the floor as the front of the business, dealing with employee issues, because I'm not a confrontational person. So to have to be like, hey, you're late for your appointment, but you also have a Starbucks in your hand. Maybe let's not do that. I hated it every second
Yeah.
of actually having to manage it. When I signed the lease for the space, I ended up taking the storefront on the front and I lived in the back. So they say entrepreneurship is like a 24/7 thing. This was literally 24/7 because something would happen and somebody would knock on my door and I'd open up a closet door and be like, hi, what do you need? And it was overload. So I was very lucky because one of my very first initial staff members that I had hired was so good, was just incredible. She's an esthetician, but she just had that authority and that presence. And so I ended up hiring her as the manager, firing myself, letting her take over to manage the front of house and actually manage the location. Then I was like, well, what am I going to do? I still need a job. Like I have to do something. I really was able to quickly work on the business instead of in the business. One of the first things I did, besides the marketing, which I'd always done, was to be like, well, you need a management manual. I still know how I want this thing to be managed. I just don't want to be the one to actually do it. That was my first operations manual, was the management manual. And then I was like, this is so fun. When I also wanted all of our services, especially in the spa industry back in the day, every esthetician just did whatever they learned in school or at their last job. So you would be sitting beside somebody getting a manicure and you might get really detailed cuticle work and the other person just gets a cleanup and they might get an extra long massage and you would get cream rubbed into your hands. And so I felt that, well, now since that would be fine if everybody's in their own little cubicle or in their own little station and you don't know what's going on. But when you're sitting there and you're supposed to have a manicure that's the same experience and the same length of time as the person sitting right beside you, I was like, we need to standardize this. So then started writing out the esthetician manuals. And then finally, then we needed a guest coordinator. So I did the guest coordinator manual. The basis of a franchise system, without realizing that I was doing that, it was just, I love writing operational procedures. I love learning new software and writing software manuals. Now you don't need to do it. But in the day, I'd be like, screen grab, open up this tab and enter in this. And I'd like screen grab, but put it in. And so our manuals are so intense, but I loved doing that kind of thing. And then when I went to go open up my second location, I had everything I needed in order for that to run really smoothly and just had a manager in there from day one, even before day one, because I had written out like, this is all the stuff you need to put in the locations.
That feels so rare because most small business owners and operators either are opening it because they're passionate and want to be right in the business and therefore have no idea how to work on the business, or have a hint of the vision they want, but most of the time just are constantly making it up as they go and have no foundational processes in place. I didn't have actual process in place till I had an operations manager who knew what she was doing. I think I was like 10 years in before we started documenting processes.
Right.
I mean, there was Asana project management, so people had like checklists.
Yeah.
But so much of it was just in my brain. And I think that's how so many small businesses operate, with the founder being the bottleneck of everything and most often being the problem.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm still a problem, but it's in different ways.